Hello and bienvenidos to Pica Poco Kitchen. Today we're making novias, or brides. Vámonos! It's been at least a month since we baked bread together. And I'm craving it because one of my favorite things to eat is bread. So when I was deciding which piece to make for you today, my husband gave me an idea. Since he's been obsessing with the new vocabulary word that he just learned, novias, thanks to Bad Bunny of course, I thought, that would be a good one to do. The bread novia takes its name from its meaning bride. Novia also means girlfriend, but for this case, it's bride. Different than what Bad Bunny means in his song. The bread has a dome shape and it's covered in sugar, resembling, I guess, a wedding gown or a veil. It requires a little bit of imagination to see the bride in the bread. But it doesn't require a lot of imagination to make them since they're very simple. It's just a brioche, buttery, airy, and delicious bread that falls apart thanks to the technique that it requires to shape it. And I am here for that. I'm gonna tell you how to make them. So grab your patience and time and let's go do it. Like always, I like to start by making a sponge with my pre-measured ingredients that I have around here. I will tell you those amounts later. But for the sponge, I'm taking 3 tablespoons of the flour, 1 tablespoon of the sugar, a little bit of my warm milk, and I'm going to add 7 grams of the dry yeast. You can go all the way up to 10, depending on how cold it is where you live. We're gonna mix that well. Even though this is not completely necessary for this bread, I like to do it out of custom and also because it will tell me if my yeast is still active. Since I buy it in bulk, I like to know if it's still good. So as soon as you start seeing bubbles, that means that your yeast is good to go. So I'm gonna set this aside and come back for it around 10 minutes later. And here I have my well of flour with 360 grams minus a little bit that I grabbed to make the sponge. As you can see, my sponge is ready and I'm gonna add it right in the center. Around the flour, I'm gonna add 50 grams of sugar minus the one that I use for the sponge, 4 grams of salt around the edges, and in the center I'm gonna go with my 2 beaten eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla for flavor, and the rest of my 100 mils of warm milk. Remember that you can add it in parts and add less or more depending on what your dough requires. After mixing the wet ingredients, I'm going to switch to a dough whisk and mix until I incorporate the dry ingredients and I get a shaggy dough. At this point, you can transfer to your flour surface and start working working the dough out. But I guess you'll also work your arms out because you gotta go for at least 10 to 15 minutes until you get a soft dough with no lumps that doesn't stick to your table or to your hands. Give it a couple of foldings right before we transfer it back to our bowl to add the butter. In our mess-free bowl, we're going to add 100 grams of room temperature butter. Add 1 or 2 tablespoons at a time. Incorporate with foldings until your butter is gone. Once you feel your dough is under control and most of the butter is incorporated, you can transfer back to your table and continue the workout. This is going to take some time, so take as many breaks as you need. If you want to do that, then cover your dough, let it rest for 10 minutes and come back to keep working it. You can do it as many times as you need, even if it's just to wash your hands. When your dough is ready, transfer to an oily bowl. We're gonna cover that and let it sit in a warm area for around 45 minutes or until it doubles in size like this. First, we're gonna punch the air out and transfer it to our table. In our table, we're gonna try to flatten it and give it the shape of a rectangle. Using my bench scraper, I'm gonna cut out one strip of this rectangle divided into 6 equal-sized pieces that I'm going to shape into bowls. And here's a better take on how to do that. Transfer the 6 balls into a lined baking sheet, cover them, and set them aside. With a flour rolling pin, flatten the rest of your dough to a 1/4 of an inch rectangle. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it helps if you keep a straight edge. To our sheet of dough, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of softened butter. Spread it as evenly as you can. It is important that this butter is not too soft or too warm, otherwise it's just going to dissolve into the dough. And this layer is important for the shaping of this particular bread. With the butter spread, we're ready to roll it. It is similar as if you were doing cinnamon rolls. This extra layer of fat gives this bread its characteristics. By creating steam between the layers, which gives this separation or pull apart effect, giving the inside those little flecks or feathers of bread. And while baking, the extra butter will also give it a nice crust. It's time to separate the log into 6 equal-sized pieces. Spread your rolls in your table with the spiral facing up. Once you have them looking up, we're going to use the heel of our hands and our fingers to give it a nice few taps to flatten them. As you can see, there's the loose end. We're going to take that and wrap it around and under the roll. Once all the rolls are flat and tight, I'm going to bring back the balls that I had resting setting aside. And I'm going to drape these flat rolls on top of the balls. Give it a nice press on the sides. And what these little underbellies are going to do is give our novias the little dome shape that they have. We're going to do the same with the rest of the rolls, and when we have them all ready and set in place, we're going to cover them and give them a second proof for around 40 to 45 minutes more until they look like this. Go to a preheated oven at 325 Fahrenheit for 25 minutes. While we wait, we're going to get our coating tray ready because as soon as they come out, we're going to transfer them to get butter and sugar on top. Brush your breads with the melted butter and be generous with the sugar since we're trying to achieve a bridal white effect. Shake the excess sugar and don't worry because we have our catch tray underneath. Now that they're all coated, let them rest and cool down and they're ready to be enjoyed. And here they are. They smell vanilla sweet, soft. They're super light and they are calling my name. You can enjoy them with a cold glass of milk, a hot cup of coffee or tea or chocolate. I don't know, whatever you normally do to have them. So what I want to show you is thanks to the shaping that we gave them, you can actually just pull them apart. I don't even know which piece to show you. Look how flaky it gets. That's thanks to all the butter and they're soft like a cloud. But for now, let's give them a bite because you may kiss the bride.
They're so good.
They're very subtle. It kind of reminds me of my favorite bread, pan de muerto, because the crust gets a little bit of a different texture than the soft inside, but less fragrant. So feel free to add a little bit of a zest or a little bit of an extract to this one if you feel like it, or keep them simple like this, maybe even sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon sugar. But I rather keep them, traditional brides that marry each other. Delish. Or marry whoever they want, or don't marry. I'm not here to tell bread what to do with their life. So if you, just like me, love to have something light for supper or something sweet next to your coffee in the morning, give it a try. You're not going to regret it because this ticks all the boxes. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe just like this video. And if you did, please share with your friends. Like, subscribe, and be notified. And for more, follow me on the socials. Adios, amigues.